In this video, we're going to practice doing some division together. Specifically, we're going to be using the standard algorithm to complete our long division. You may notice that right off the bat that each of these problems are written in fraction form, but just keep in mind that fractions can also represent division. Let's give these a go. So for number 1, we have 15 divided by 5. So when we're doing long division, what we're going to do is we're going to put the top number or the number on top of the fraction bar inside the division house and the bottom number on the outside. You're going to see how many times 5 is going to fit into that first number 1, and if it doesn't fit in, you can either put a 0 or put an X or leave it blank. I'm going to use an X for this video. Then if it doesn't fit in, we move over to the 15. So 5 fits into 15 3 times. 3 times 5 is exactly 15. So if we go ahead and multiply that out, we're going to notice that we subtract, we're going to get a remainder of 0. So we now know that 15 divided by 5 is just equal to 3. You can check that by 3 times 5 equaling 15. For number 2, we have 60 divided by 10, so let's go ahead and do the division house, put 60 on the inside, 10 on the outside. And so we have to see, does 10 fit inside of 6? Well, 10's bigger than it, so that's a no. But 10 fits into 60, I think it's going to be 6 times. 6 times 10 is 60. And if we're going to see what we're left with, or how far off we were by, we were perfect on point. So we know that the answer here is going to be 6. For number 3, we have 36 divided by 9, so I'm going to go ahead and draw that division house. I'm going to put 36 on the inside and put 9 on the outside. Okay. 9 will not fit into 3, it's bigger than it, but 9 does fit into 36, I believe 4 times. 4 times 9 does equal 36 exactly, so there's no remainder. So we're going to put a 0 down here, so our quotient, or the answer to a division problem, is going to be 4. Let's go ahead and try number 4 here. For number 4, we have 48 divided by 6, so 48 divided by 6. Let's see here, 6 will not fit into 4 because it's bigger, but 6 does fit into 48 8 times. 8 times 6 equals 48. If we subtract to find the remainder, turns out there is none, it's 0. And so our quotient is 8. And you might have known that from the division facts or your multiplication facts, but just showing you using the standard algorithm. For number 5, we have 96 divided by 4. 4 goes on the outside here. This time 4 does fit into 9. You have to see how many times it goes in without going over. And it fits into 9 2 times. 2 times 4 is going to be 8. If we go ahead and see how far off we were, 9 minus 8 equals 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring down the 6 to join and see if we're going to repeat this process again. So now how many times does 4 go into 16? Turns out 4 goes into 16 2, 3, 4 times, right? 4 times 4 equals 16. And we have a remainder of 0 now. So turns out that 4 times 24 equals 96. Okay. For number 6, we have 84 divided by 3. So let's go ahead and see what that's going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and do this right over here, 84, and divide that by 3. 3 does go into 8 2 times, right? 2 times 3 is equal to 6. And that means we were off by 2. So we subtract, we're left with 2. So we can bring down the 4 and repeat the whole process again. How many times does 3 go into 24? I think that's going to be 8. 8 times 3 equals 24. And we're going to notice here that the remainder is going to be 0. So it turns out 84 divided by 3 equals 28. And we could check that if we want to. 28 times 3 does equal 84. Moving on to number 7 and 8. Let's try 7 first. So for 7, let's go ahead and do 98 divided by 7. So put 98 there, 7 here. 7 fits into 9 one time. 1 times 7 is 7. If we go ahead and see how far we were off by 2. Then we're going to bring down the 8 and repeat the process here. So now we have an 8 joining that 2 for 28. And 7 times 4 is exactly 28. And so we have a remainder of 0. So just like that, we have 98 divided by 7 is equal to 14. Or 14 times 7 equals 98. For number 8, we have 72 divided by 4. And 4 does fit into 7 one time without going over. 1 times 4 is 4. We were off by 3, so 7 minus 4 equals 3. We can bring down this 2, that makes it 32, and repeat the process. 4 times 8 is exactly 32. And we're going to see that we have no remainder here, so this went in perfectly. So 72 divided by 4 equals 18. Let's Let's move on to number 9. For number 9, we have this 105 divided by 3. So go ahead and put 105 on the inside and 3 on the outside. 3 will not fit into 1, so I'll put X here, but 3 will fit into 10. 3 times 3 does equal 9, so that's as close as we could get without going over. 10 minus 9 is 1. We're going to bring down this 5 and repeat the process. So that's now 15. 3 times, let's go with 5. That equals 15. And let's see, the remainder here is going to be 0. So no remainder again, and we have an answer of 35. That's the quotient. For number 10, we have 184, and we're going to divide that into 4 parts. Let's see what that is going to be. 4 doesn't fit into 1, but 4 does fit into 18. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16, right? So that's going to be 16. That's as close as we can get. The remainder is going to be 2. And we're going to bring down the 4 and repeat the process. So 4 into 24, I think that's going to be 6 times. 6 times 4 does equal 24, and there is no remainder, so that went in perfectly 46 times. For number 11, we have 165, and we're going to divide that by 5. And so 5 doesn't fit into 1, but it does fit into 16, 1, 2, 3 times. 3 times 5 equals 15, and we were off by 1. So we're going to have a remainder of 1. Let's bring down the 5 and keep going and repeat the process. 5 into 15 is going to be 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. If we subtract, we notice there's no remainder, so 33 is going to be our quotient here. For number 12, let's go ahead and try 486. I'm going to divide that by 9. 9 won't fit into 4, but it will fit into 48. I think 9 times 5 is as close as we can get. That's going to be 45. And if we subtract here, 48 minus 45, we were off by 3. And bring down this 6 and repeat this process. 9 times 4 does get you exactly 36. And so we're going to notice there's no remainder, which is nice. And so our quotient here is 54. 9 times 54 is going to be 486. All right, let's try 13, 14, 15, and 16, these next few problems here. So let's see what we got. For number 13, we have 471, and we're going to go ahead and divide that into 3 equal parts. 3 fits into 4 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. We're going to see the remainder here is going to be 1. We were off by 1. Let's bring down this 7 and repeat this process. 3 into 17, I'm thinking that's going to be 5. 5 times 3 is 15. And we're going to see what we're left with, 2. And we're going to repeat this process one more time, bring down this 1, and now this is 21. 3 times 7 gets you exactly 21. And we're going to notice we have no remainder. That's going to be 0. So our quotient here is going to be 157. For number 14, we have this 352. And we're going to divide that by 4. And so how many times will 4 fit into 3? Well, it does not fit in a whole number of times, so we go over to 35 instead. 4 times 8 will be 32. That's as close as we can get. And we're going to be left here with a remainder of 3. So we're off by 3, then bring down this 2 here and repeat the process. So 4 times 8 equals 32. And so we're going to notice we have a remainder of 0. So 352 divided by 4 equals 88. For number 15, we have 394, and we're going to divide that by 2, or cut it in half. So 2 fits into 3 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. If we go ahead and do that, we see we were off by 1. Let's bring down the 9 and repeat the process here. So 2 times 9 equals 18. That's going to be as close as we can get to 19. We are off by 1. And let's bring down this 4 and repeat this process again. So this is now 14. So 2 times 7 equals 14. And we have a remainder of 0. So we have a quotient of 197. For number 16, we have 453, and we're going to divide that into 6 parts. So 453, we're going to divide that by 6. 6 won't fit into 4, but it will fit into 45 7 times, because 7 times 6 is 42. If we subtract here, we have a remainder of 3. Then we can go ahead and bring down this 3 over here, and now it's 33. 6 times 5 will get us close. That's going to be 30, and we're going to be left with 3. That's our remainder. Okay. Now that you're working with these and we're doing long division, you can do one of two things here. And what I'm going to do in this particular video is, if you still have a remainder at the end, is we may add a decimal and a 0. And if we do that there, we're going to put that in our answer as well. We're not changing the value at all, because 453.0 is still the same thing as 453. But this lets us know like how much we're left over with. So this 0 is going to come on down, so it's 30, and 6 goes into 30 5 times here. So we're going to end up putting a 5 right over here. 5 times 6 is 30. And finally, we have a remainder of 0 at the bottom. But our answer was not a whole number, right? Our answer here is going to be 75.5, or 75.5 if you prefer to write it as a fraction. Alrighty, let's go ahead and try 17. For number 17, we have 455, and we're going to divide that by 7. So we'll go ahead and set it up. Now, 7 won't fit into 4, but 7 will fit into 45 6 times. 6 times 7 is 42. We go ahead and subtract. We're going to see that we were off by 3. Then we go ahead and bring down this 5 to join the 3. Turns out 7 times 5 is going to be exactly 35. And we're going to have a remainder of 0. So our answer here is going to be 65. For number 18, let's see, we have this 752. We're going to divide that by 8. And so 8 doesn't go into 7, right? But 8 does go into 75 9 times. 9 times 8 is 72. Turns out we are off by 3. We can go ahead and bring this 2 down and join the 3, so it's now 32. And 8 times 4 is exactly 32. And we get a remainder of 0. So this came out to just being 94. For number 19, we have 396. We're going to divide that by 4. 4 doesn't fit into 3, but it will fit into 39. I'm thinking 9 times. 9 times 4 is 36. When we subtract here, it's 3, and it's got to be less than 4. That's how that works. Bring down this 6 here, so it's now 36. And it's going to be the same number here. 4 times 9 is going to be 36 again. And we have a remainder of 0. So our answer here is going to be 99. For number 20, let's go ahead and see, we have 378 divided by 6. And so 6 doesn't fit into 3, but it does fit into 37 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. So we are off by 1. Then we go ahead and bring down this 8 to join and try again. So 6 into 18, that's going to be 3. 3 times 6 is exactly 18. So we have a remainder of 0. So we have a quotient here of 63 for number 20. Let's go ahead and try number 21. For 21, we have 4,932. We're going to divide that into 3 equal parts. 3 will fit into 4 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. We're going to get, see that we're off by 1. Then we're going to bring down this 9 and repeat the process. So 3 into 19, that's going to be 6, because 3 times 6 is 18. Go ahead and subtract. We're off by 1. Then we're going to bring down this 3. So now this is going to be a 13 down here. 3 times 4 is going to be 12. And so we're going to be off by 1. And then finally, we're going to bring this 2 down. And this 2 is going to join the 1. We're going to repeat the process one more time. 3 times what gets you close to 12, or exactly, it's going to be a 4. 4 times 3 is 12. We get a remainder of 0. So our quotient here is going to be 1,644. For number 22, what we have here is we are going to divide 3,115. We're going to divide that by 5. Okay, so 5 won't fit into 3, but it will fit into 39 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. If we go ahead and subtract that, that's going to be 4 off. Then we can bring down this 1 and repeat the process, so it's now 41. 5 times, I think, 8 is going to be 40. And so it's only off by 1. So if we subtract, that's how much we're off by. Then let's bring down this 5, and the 5 is going to join the 1 to be 15. And 5 times 3 is going to be 15.
and the remainder is 0. So we have a quotient here for this problem of 783. For 23, let's go ahead and try that one out. We have 3,896, so I'm going to divide that by 9. So 9 doesn't fit into 3, but it does fit into 38 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36. If we subtract here, we're going to get 2 off. And let's bring down this 9. 9 times, let's go with 3, that's going to be 27. We're only off by 2. And then finally, let's bring down this 6. And the 6 is going to join this 2. And so it's going to be 26, right? So we're going to see that 9 times, let's go with 3. No, 3 is 27. Let's go with 2. That's going to be 18. And so if we get a remainder here, it's going to be 8. Just like earlier, if we have a remainder and we have no more numbers to bring down, we can put a decimal and a 0 inside the house here and put a decimal on top as well. Then we can bring the 0 down and repeat the process. So now this is going to be 80, right? It just means that we have a decimal instead of a whole number. And so 9 into 80 is going to be, let's go with 9 times 9 is 81, so let's go with 8. 8 times 9 is going to be 72. So if we go ahead and subtract here, we're going to get a remainder of 8 again. So it's important to know what's happening here, but we did have a remainder of 8, and now we have another remainder of 8 here. So I'm going to recommend you stop, because that means that we are going to have a bunch of 8s that repeat here forever and ever and ever. Okay. So the way we can write our answer without writing all those 8s down is going to be 432.8, and we put a line on top of that 8, or a bar. That lets us know that there's going to be 8s going on forever. Another way you could write your answer for this is you could write 432 and 8/9. This is another way of writing the answer. For number 24, let's go ahead and try taking this 3,816 and dividing that by 6. So let's go ahead and see 6 doesn't go into 3, but it does go into 38 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. We're going to see that we are off by 2 here. We're going to bring down this 1. It's going to join the 2 for 21. Repeat the process. 6 times 3 is going to be 18. That means we are off by 3. We can bring down this 6 and try it again. And 6 times, let's go with 6, is going to equal 36. And we're going to get a remainder of 0. So unlike the last problem, this one came out to a nice number of 636. Alrighty, let's go ahead and check out number 25 for number 25. So for 25, we're going to be dividing this number by 7. So I'm just put the 7 here. I'm going to put 4, 3, 6, 1. And see, 7 doesn't fit into 4, but it fits into 43 6 times. 6 times 7 is 42. We're going to see we are off by 1. Okay, bring down the 6, and that's now 16. 7 times 2 will get us close. That's 14. Without going over, we're off by 2. Then we go ahead and bring down this 1 here. Now it's going to be 21. And 7 times 3 is exactly 21. So we can stop there, because we have no more remainder. And so we have a quotient of 623. For number 26, what are we dividing into 8 equal parts? We're dividing 1,408 into 8 parts. 8 doesn't fit into 1, but it does fit into 14 one time. 1 times 8 is 8. And so it looks like we are off by 6. We're going to go ahead and bring down the 0 and repeat the process with the number 60. 8 times 8 is 64, so 8 times 7 would be 56. And we can see that we are off by 4 here. Next, we're going to go ahead and bring down this 8. This 8 is going to join the 4 for 48. 8 times, it looks like 6 is going to be 48. And we are left with nothing. So it went in perfectly. So we have a quotient of 176. For number 27, we are dividing something into 6 equal parts, and that's going to be 3,012. And so 6 doesn't fit into 3, but it does fit into 35 times exactly. So that's going to be 30. And so 30 minus 30 is 0, and we're going to bring down the 1 here. Now you have to keep repeating the entire process here. So how many times does 6 fit into 1? And if you were thinking if it's in 0 times, good, put a 0 on top. Make sure you put that there. Okay, if you don't put that, you're going to end up maybe having your numbers in the wrong slot, and you might be off by a place value, or you might have done something a little bit strange there. So make sure you follow the process and that 0 does belong there. Bring down this 2 to make 12, and then 6 times 2 does get you 12, and you're going to notice the remainder is 0. So our quotient here is going to be 502, but make sure you know what to do when you have that number that doesn't go in at all. You make sure you put it that it goes in 0 times on top. For number 28, we are going to be dividing something into 4 equal parts. And what number are we dividing? Looks like it's going to be 428. And so 4 fits into 4 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. If we go ahead and subtract, we're going to see that we were off by nothing, and we're going to bring down the 2. So now we have 2. Now, just like in the last example, be careful here and say, okay, 4 fits into 2, fits in 0 times, so it's important that you put a 0 up here. 0 times 4 is 0. We're going to subtract here, we're left with 2. Then we're going to bring down this 8, so the 8 joins a 2 to make 28, and then 7 times 4 is 28, right? So we go ahead and multiply that out, and we're going to get a remainder of 0. So our quotient here is going to be 107. All right, let's check out a few more here. For number 29, let's see, we have this, we're dividing by a 2-digit number now. So let's go ahead and try, we're going to be dividing 804 by 12. So does 12 fit into 8? No. But the reason why these are a little bit trickier is because you may not know your 12 times tables as well. So I'll try to write that out to make it extra clear. 12 times something, it definitely goes into 80, but we have to see how many times here. So let's see, if we say 12 times 7, 12 times 7, that's going to be, it's a 4 and that's a 1, that's 84, so it's a little too much. So I'm going to go with 12 times 6. So 12 times 6 is going to be, that's a 2, carry the 1, that's 72. Okay, so we know it's going to be 6 times, so I'm going to put a 6 up here. 6 times 12 is 72, and we were off by 8. Perfectly fine. Let's bring down this 8. Let's bring down this 4 over here. So now this is going to be 84, and we'll repeat the process. However, it's good that we already know 12 times 7 equals 84. So we actually know the next number is going to be 7. 7 times 12 does equal 84. And that a remainder here is going to be 0. So make sure you do a little bit of multiplication on the side as necessary so that you can figure out how many times things will fit in. Okay, so we have 67 as our quotient. For number 30, we are dividing something into 15 equal parts. And what are we dividing? It's going to be 510. So 15 is not going to fit into 5. So I'm going to put a X there, doesn't fit in, but 15 will fit into 51. Now let's see how many times. So if we take 15, multiply that by 3, that's going to be, it's a 1. That's 45. I definitely can't go any higher because 45 is pretty close to 51. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 3 here. 3 times 15 is going to be 45, we just said. And we are off by 6, which means we did a good job because 6 has to be less than 15. And then we can bring down to 0 and repeat the process. So how many times does 15 go into 60? Well, let's try 15 times 4, since 3 was 45. That's going to be 0 and a 2. Oh, it's 4 times. So we go put a 4 up here. 4 times 15 is going to be exactly 60. And we have a remainder of 0. So our answer here is going to be 34. For 31, let's see, we're going to divide something into 25 parts. And what are we dividing into 25 parts? It's going to be 1,675. So 25 is not going to fit into this 1, and 25 won't fit into 16 either, but 25 will fit into 167. So let's think here, 25 times, I'm going to go with 6. 25 times 6, that's going to be a 30. That's 150, and I think that's as close as we can get. So let me show you 25 times 7. That's going to be 35, carry the 3. That's going to be 14 plus 3 is going to be 17. That's 175, so it's too much. We'll go with 6. 6 times 25 is going to be 150. And if we go ahead and subtract, we're going to be left with 17. Next, we will bring down this 5 to join. That's going to be 175. hey, good thing we already knew 25 times 7 was 175. So we're going to put a 7 up here. 7 times 25 is going to be exactly 175. And if we subtract, we have no remainder. So our quotient here is going to be 67. Finally, for this last problem, we're going to be dividing something into 36 parts. And so we have 36 here, and we're dividing 1,728 of something into 36 equal groups. So 36 won't fit into 1, and it won't fit into 17, but 36 will fit into 172. You just have to do some multiplication to check how many times. All right, I'm going to start with maybe 4 just to give it a try. That's going to be 24, carry the 2, it's 12 plus 2. All right, that's 144. Let's see if we can go higher. 36 times 5. That's going to be 30, carry the 3. That's going to be 180. That's too much. So turns out 4 was a good number to start with here. That might take you a couple more tries, but that's okay. You'll get better as you practice. So what's 172 minus 144? I believe that's going to equal 28. So let's go ahead and write that here. And then we can go ahead and bring down this 8 to join and repeat the process. So 288 is quite a bit higher. Let's try 36 times maybe 8. Let's see what that gives us. I'm going to get 48, carry the 4, 24 plus 4. Oh, that is a good guess. So I'm going to go with 8 up top. 8 times 36 happens to be exactly 288. And our remainder is 0. So our final quotient here is going to be 48. So there you have 32 different practice problems on completing the standard algorithm to figure out the quotient of some division problems. Throughout the video, I gave you some different examples with some dividing by 2-digit as well as 1-digit numbers. And also there were a couple scenarios where it didn't go in evenly, so we had some fraction or decimal answers. So that wasn't the main focus of this practice worksheet here, but hopefully that gave you a little bit of insight into it if you were wondering what happens if you do have a remainder. So hopefully you found this video helpful, and as always, keep up the great work, and I'll see you in the next one.